Hello, and welcome back to Alfred. In the first session, you learned how to log in, identify your credits, upload your lists, and start the hygiene process. Now that you have uploaded and hygiened your first list, let's take a look at the results. The first thing we need to do is go to the login screen and sign in. Don't worry if you lost your password, you can reset it here. Once you have signed into Alfred and you see your dashboard, look for the Recent Activity headline in the second section of the page. Once you find that, you should see all of the lists you have hygiened. Pick the list you want to dive into and click the View Details button, which is under the Actions column. Now that you have clicked on the View Details, the new screen should say List Detail. This is the page that will show you all the information about your hygiene list. You will see 7 category tabs: Objective, Recommendation, Score, Deliverability Status, Threat Level, Reason, and Providers. Each of these categories has its own purpose that we will briefly review in this video. It is up to you to decide how you want to use the data from each section. Once you actually export your list, each of these categories becomes a separate column in your report that you can use to determine to whom you wish to send your emails based off the information from the categories. Now, let's break down each section. Let's look at the first tab, Objective. This is the default tab, so whenever you see the List Details screen, the information for the objective category will be displayed. The percentage in each category lets you know how many of your emails were scored in that category. This holds true for each of the 7 sections. The information shown here is the simplest way of looking at your list based on your mailing intent and how many emails are worth sending. What Alfred does is assign each email address a score of 1 to 10 and uses this unique scoring system to create each category's final score. The best deliverability percentage describes what Alfred determined to have the highest deliverability rates. Think of it as the most likely to be a real email address created by a real person or a real company. Each of these email addresses was scored between 7 and 10. Maximum reach are emails that include the best deliverable plus emails that are likely deliverable with low to moderate threat levels. Each of these email addresses was scored between 6 and 10. In summary, this first tab of Objective lets you know the best of the best email addresses and the good to best email addresses. Let's look at the next tab. Click on Recommendation. This category shows an overview of your list based on a combination of deliverability and risk. These 3 qualifiers tell you how safe it is to send to these email addresses. Safe to send is an email address that is deliverable and has a low to no threats detected. Alfred has run its check and is telling you that this is a good and safe email to send to. Send with caution are email addresses that are possibly deliverable or have an elevated threat level. Basically, proceed with caution. Do not send are email addresses that are undeliverable or high threat level detected. These should be taken out of your list and not sent to any longer. We will go over threat levels a little later in the video. Our next tab is Score. The Score tab displays how Alfred rated each email address using the 1 to 10 scoring system, 10 being the best and 1 being the worst. The scoring system is our unique system that breaks down your list into a simple-to-use scoring system. Depending on your objectives, you can choose which scores you want to use. The scoring system can be a great tool for you no matter where you are in your email marketing process. If you are just starting out and have a new domain, IP, or reputation issues, we suggest you start sending only to the 8s, 9s, and 10s, then slowly building in the 7s, then 4 through 6s. This will guarantee the safest and best results for you while you warm up your system. If you've been sending for a while and already have a good or great reputation across the board, you can decide how low in the scoring you want to go. We suggest, though, never using the 1 through 3 scores and proceeding with caution with the 4 through 6s. This section or column when you export your list is commonly the most used outside of the simple Objective tab. You can organize your list by number and also filter out the scores you do not wish to use. Our next category is Deliverability Status. This category shows the likelihood of an email being delivered. A deliverable result means Alfred ran a check on the recipient's mail server and it came back as safe to send. This means it is most likely a real person with a real email address. Possibly deliverable means that the address has quality issues that may result in bounce or low engagement. These are usually catch-all, disposable, or role-based addresses. For example, info at or sales at. An undeliverable result means the email address does not exist or is spelled incorrectly. Unknown deliverability status means the destination mail server is too slow or temporarily unavailable. Basically, Alfred is trying to connect to check out the email and getting no reply or is timing out. Our fifth category is threat level. In this category, we want our email addresses to be in the low section because it is describing the threat of them, meaning these addresses are not much of a threat. This determination lets you know the potential an email has to be detrimental to your overall email reputation. Emails with high threat levels can damage your sender reputation and should not be emailed. Think back to our scoring system of 1 to 10. The email addresses that score 7 to 10 would have a low threat level. Those that scored 4 to 6 would have a medium threat level, and those that scored 1 to 3 would have a high threat level, which is why we suggest you do not email to them. Unfortunately, sometimes we cannot determine a threat level, and those are in the undetermined unknown category. Our next category tab is reason. Each reason listed is basically breaking down each button from the deliverability status that were in tab 4, the reason for the likelihood of the deliverability percentages. Reason can seem confusing. We test each email against our deliverability and risk database. There are about 15 reasons that Alfred gives you as to why your email address may or may not be deliverable. For more information on each of these reasons, you can go under the Support tab at the top and choose Glossary. Our last reporting category is providers. These are the different Internet Service Providers, ISP, or filter companies receiving the emails. Filter companies are generally used by large businesses to try and keep spam emails out. It's like a firewall for email. This tab allows you to group your contacts by provider and comes in handy if you only want to send to specific providers. If you are having trouble with a specific provider, this is a great way to separate them out. Now that we have gone over all the different methods of breaking down your list, it is up to you to decide which works best for you. Keep in mind when you export your list, each one of these categories will be in its own column on the spreadsheet, allowing you to filter the list in any way you wish. To export your list that has completed the hygiene process, at the top of the List Details screen, click on the red Export List button. You will see a pop-up with two options, Download List and Klaviyo. If you have any integration with Klaviyo, we will cover that in another video. For now, click the Download List button. You will get another pop-up with 3 choices. All, which will give you the entire list. In this situation, it is up to you to choose how you want to filter or segment your list. Best Deliverability is a list that Alfred has predetermined for you that only includes email addresses that have the highest deliverability rate and the lowest threats. This is what we had discussed in the first tab called Objective. This is the safest list and is used for purposes of warming or fixing reputations. The third choice is Maximum Reach. This list has all the low to moderate threat levels. Again, this is the other category from the Objective tab. It may include some slightly risky email addresses, but is generally safe to use. If you have already built your IP and domain reputation, then this is the list for you. Choose which list you want by clicking the round radio button. Don't worry about the expert mode, we will cover that in the next video. Now you are ready to click download, and your file will be downloaded to your local hard drive. We always suggest checking your current database analytics against what Alfred says. As awesome as Alfred is, nothing is foolproof, and you may have emails that you have sent and received engagement that Alfred registers as a risk. This can happen a lot with unknowns or catch-alls. Now that you downloaded your list, it's time to start sending out your campaigns and see your open rates skyrocket and your reputations rise. In the next video, we will show you how to use the advanced export features to group these options together and drill down on your list. Each of these email addresses was scored between 6 and 10. Each of these email addresses was scored between 6 and 10.